Gaurav Passi, founder CEO at Zingly.ai. In the last year and a half or so, somebody's got to be under a big rock if you've not heard about Gen AI, and it's so much of noise. So I think the number one thing is, how do you kind of cut through the noise and understand like what's practical? You know, financial service companies in general are very practical in nature because of the regulatory compliance issues and frankly what customers deal with their money. It becomes a serious nature business. So what we see in the market happening is really three things coming together right now, which is what Zingly is about: putting the data, the Gen AI, and the humans together. And all three are a very, very important component to make the financial services company successful and how they engage with their customers. You know, like I said, humans are a critical component of how members in credit unions or customers in banks deal with their financial service companies. The relationship is a very important aspect to it. If you look at a large mega bank, it's all about scaling. How do you scale? So Gen AI comes from that scaling aspect. If you look at a small credit union, if you look at a small community bank or regional bank, same concept. You're dealing with your money. You got to be engaging with the right people, the right humans, the right bank. So AI helps you scale. AI helps you really understand, you know, after hours, before hours, how do you handle your services and products and needs? But it's really the human touch at the end of the day that goes a long way. So when I say human is really, really critical and needed, what we are seeing is there are a lot of repeated kind of, you know, inquiries that come into banks and financial institutions. So I'm sure everybody's heard about the Klarna use case, and Klarna came out and talked about how they can take 60 to 65% of stuff on Gen AI. That's exactly what, you know, Zingly is doing. Zingly is giving Klarna type of AI technology to banks, bringing that stuff to financial service companies and providing that. So while we take 70% to 80% of all automation, there's always that 20% where human touch is super critical. Example, a high value customer is coming in. You know, you need to understand who the high value customer is and how do you provide them, you know, services and products and hopefully, you know, throw a red carpet in front of them. Or you're dealing with like very complicated, high friction products and use cases. So really understanding like when to bring a human into the loop is a super critical thing of that 20 to 30% use cases that need and deserve it. Fintech's been around for a long time, and the digital ecosystem and the technology ecosystem is quite wide. Zingly comes in from a very important aspect, which is connecting the humans, which is the customers and members, to the humans on the other side, which is the agents or reps or relationship managers. So it's really about the communication between the customers and the brand, or the banks in this case. So we are a collaborative space that brings everybody together. If you're a collaborative space bringing, you know, all the communication together, it's a critical component to be integrated to your system of records like Salesforce.com or CRM technologies. Also, it's a critical component to get integrated with, you know, regular telephony, like the 800 calling. We are not part of the 800 calling communication. We provide voice and video and chat and messaging, but primarily from the website and the apps and more digital properties. So Zingly comes in and provides all digital, you know, communication channels, and we are very super integrated with, you know, CRM companies. You know, what's been happening in the last 5 to 10 years, we've all heard about digital transformation. So what happened in the digital transformation is banks have been investing heavily on the websites and their apps. So what the result has been that the traffic of customers and prospects together has now started to, you know, really emerge and get into website and apps. So I'll give you an example. One of our customers is getting about 1.9 to 2 million calls a year in the call center, but they get about 2.5 million visitors coming to their website and apps every single month. So now think about it, that's 10x the traffic on website and apps as compared to the call center. So that is really where the collaboration kicks in immediately, understanding who's the traffic, what kind of services they're looking for, and really engaging with that traffic at the time of truth. Now that's where the collaborative space comes in. A member of a credit union or a customer of a bank always gets to see this persistent space with Zingly, where they can collaborate anytime. Like I said before, it could be after hours. We're seeing a big spike with the banks that we're helping with. 15 to 20% of these opportunities that we're helping them create is all after hours as well. So that space gets absolutely stunning for them to interact, whether through an AI machine or AI really helping and saying, hey, I need to bring a human into the loop. So if you think about a bank, we're all kind of, guilty as charged. Most of the members or most of the customers at bank, we deal with like 4 to 5 banks, everybody, most of us consumers, but our engagement with the banks is super dormant. We will go, check our account balance and leave. And that is a big problem for the banks. So we, as Zingly, are coming in and changing that dormant kind of engagement, that dormant relationship, and making it super active. And we make it super active by launching campaigns, reaching out to the customers, making them engaged, whether they're getting a text message, whether they're getting emails, we're engaging them. But we're engaging them in a very, very clear path, clear way, understanding what the customer is looking for. Example, if it's a commercial banking needs, and you're dealing with a commercial, a startup company, and you're offering them a deposit account or a checking account, you're also able to understand like this customer needs a venture banking. Or you're opening up a checking account, but at this point in time, you're like, hey, the balance on the checking account is pretty big, helping the customer, nudging them to move the money to the money markets accounts, for example, or having them nudge to a CD account, or helping them with a cross upsell with the increased wallet share with lending and loans. A lot of our customers are looking at HELOC and sending those kind of campaigns out. So when you engage a customer that way, in a very proactive way, or you engage them on the website at the moment of truth, that just really changes the whole game. And when the customer comes back anytime, whether it comes back 5 minutes later, or comes back a day later, or 2 years later, it doesn't really matter. That persistent collaborative space is always there, which is what we call Zingly Rooms, and we can talk a little bit more about it. Revenue is one of the biggest aspects for anybody. Deposit growth, wallet share is super, super critical. So if you think about Zingly, Zingly is based on like 3 major pillars. The first and the foremost thing about Zingly is this technology called Zingly Rooms. And this is a very patented technology that we created. The Zingly Rooms has all kind of communication channels and is served right on the digital properties of the banks, whether it is website or apps. And this room technology is always there to meet a purpose. If the purpose is to open up a checking account, it makes sure that the number one enemy to open that kind of checking account is friction. And how do you kill friction? Friction is easily killed by a very welcoming space that is always there for you and ready to engage in whichever format you want to engage. So talking about rooms again, rooms offer messaging, text, chat, voice, video, all of that stuff in a single place. You can do calendaring, you can upload documents, you can exchange documents, you can even do payments, or as of recently, docu-signing as well. So what that does is no more emails back and forth. One of our customers, it was taking them to open up a new account, sometimes 30 to 60 days. Just leveraging Zingly, that thing came down to 10 to 14 days. Now you can imagine how much of friction has actually gone away for the customers where the data was getting lost and the revenue is coming out sooner. We also help with customer acquisition use cases, which is engaging with the customers proactively through campaigns and launching those campaigns and inviting them to the website and apps, and then engaging them really over there with our AI machine. What our AI does is about 3 things. Number 1 is an AI agent, which is always ready to interface with the customers on the digital properties. It's very, very focused on what the goal of the customer is. If the goal of the customer is to open up a checking account or have a HELOC or go through a commercial banking need, the AI agent understands that goal setting and can also take actions. Actions could be like, hey, I can create a calendar invite for you with a relationship manager. Action could be, actually opening up the account for you. Action could be as simple as, hey, what's the balance in my checking account? And I can answer those questions for you, because to your prior conversation you were having about integrations, we integrate with all kind of stack, not just the CRM, but all the core banking tools as well, which is where the real information is residing. So that's kind of the big aspect of what we do. The second aspect, which I believe is the magic of Zingly, which is called a technology called reshape.ai. What reshape.ai does is it understands when to bring a human into the loop and really knows that this is a high friction use case because the customer is either getting towards the goal, and if you're getting towards the goal and you're ready to kind of just really buy a product or service, we believe that bots are best in qualifying deals, but humans are still the best salespeople. So immediately it triggers and say, hey, this customer is ready to kind of just come in, and the human will come into the loop and do it. So those are many aspects of how Zingly can help our banks and customers. It's a real concern, especially when you deal with banks and financial institutions and insurance companies. It's a very complex, regulated market. What Zingly is doing is we actually really, when I said we deal with data, humans, and AI, the data is really coming from the banks and the financial institutions. So we're not going to the public domain and looking at the data and making up the answers. In the last 6 to 8 months, we've been dealing with a Fortune 100 company who was very interested in our AI solution. They already use our digital solution. They were super interested in the AI solution to create scale for their customers and engage more and cut down their call center costs. And they have gone in deep levels understanding about how this data and this technology will work and what Zingly offers with Safe AI. And after a lot of rigor, everybody understood very clearly that Zingly is only getting data in what we call the RAG in the market. And we create RAGs for customers as opposed to in the LLMs, which is the public domain system. And this RAG only has the customer's data. So a Fortune 100 company actually went deep down looking at it, doing risk assessment, and we finally ended up doing a big SOW with them. So that is the kind of thing which is super critical. When a technology understands working closely with the banks, not to hallucinate, that's not even a possibility that we can do in our technology. And that comes from leveraging companies' own data, whether data is coming for, you talked about integrations, core banking systems, or the CRM technologies, or their knowledge bases. We assemble all that data to provide answers. And when our technology does not have the right answers, we never hallucinate. We understand when to bring a human in the loop. So going back to the human in the loop, that's also equally important in our regulated markets to do that. In this particular case, it was very important to the bank not to be advising anything through our technology of AI, because the advisory has to come from a fiduciary licensed advisor. So our technology understands not to do that, and that creates that safe AI environment for the company as well. So when a Fortune 100 company goes deep down looking at it, investigates it, that's the kind of stuff I think is super critical for any bank to understand how to work with a vendor like Zingly and how to put the data together to provide the answers. 2020 has been really phenomenal. We've met so many executives over here. Frankly speaking, every single executive I've chatted with at a senior level is dealing with two major aspects of it. One is, I really want to increase my deposits and become very competitive in the market. And they all want to do it with a very stellar customer experience. And the second one is wallet share. How can we really increase the participation of our customers, our members, and really engage them more, offer them more lending, offer them more loans, etc. When I'm talking to kind of more regional banks, I'm talking to more credit unions, they have a very important challenge that they have to face. They're all competing with the mega banks. They're all competing with each other and the community banks. And the number one thing that credit unions and community banks are really needing is personalization with their customers. And with Zingly and Zingly Rooms, we are actually made for personalization. We're a big consumer and customer advocate and member advocate. So really that technology is what provides them personalization at scale. And I think this hyper scale and infinite scale with hyper personalization is really what Zingly is about.